My husband sat across from me at a five-star restaurant, smirking like he'd already won the war. He swirled his whiskey, winked at the server, and whispered, "Don't worry, babe. After tonight, everything is gonna be easier for both of us." Easier. That was the word he used, like I was a problem he was finally done solving. But what he didn't know is that I had spent 127 days documenting every lie he ever told me. And tonight? Tonight he'd learn I wasn't the idiot wife he thought I was the executioner. I kept my expression soft, delicate, almost apologetic. The way a good wife is supposed to look just before her husband takes everything from her. We sat under a chandelier worth more than my car, surrounded by people celebrating anniversaries and birthdays. None of them knew the war happening at my table. My husband, Adam, leaned back in his seat like a king surveying land he was about to conquer. The same man who once cried at our wedding vows was now talking about amicable dissolution and fair division of property as if I were a business transaction. His voice had this calm arrogance, like he believed the ending was already written and he was the author. But that's the problem with men like Adam. They don't realize that while they're busy writing their victory speech, someone else is quietly writing the plot twist. "Look," he sighed, dropping his voice into that condescending, rational tone cheaters love to use. "I'm being generous here. You get the car, and we can talk about some equity from the house after the appraisal. I don't want this to get messy." Messy. He avoided the word divorce like it was radioactive. He had no idea the house was already mine on paper. He had no idea I already knew about the mistress with the fake lashes and the overpriced perfume. And he had no idea that the GPS logs, hotel receipts, and bank statements were already sitting in my lawyer's office, color-coded, time-stamped, and numbered. That's the thing about cheaters. They think the person they're stabbing is too busy bleeding to notice the knife. I'd been collecting evidence for exactly 127 days, and I didn't miss a beat. 3 different hotel check-ins under his company account. 7 Uber trips from work dinners. That ended at a townhouse in a suburb he claimed he hated, and my personal favorite, a $4,912 consulting expense that was actually a bracelet from Tiffany's, size petite, engraved with A and N forever. Forever lasted almost 4 months before I found out. I hope she enjoyed the bracelet. She certainly won't be enjoying the lawsuit part, but I didn't flinch as he spoke. In fact, I let him go on and on, outlining how the divorce should go, as if he was being magnanimous. He sipped his whiskey neat, drummed his fingers on the table, completely unaware that the person he was negotiating with was not the woman he married. She was the woman he betrayed. Honestly, he finally added, "Once this is finalized, things will be better for everyone." Everyone. He meant her. He thought I didn't know she even existed yet. Funny thing is, I knew her Starbucks order, her gym schedule, the hotel she preferred, and how she texted him dirty photos from the shower at 3 p.m. on weekdays. I knew she called me the dead weight. I also knew her lease was up next month, and Adam had been promising her that once he sorted things out, they'd get a place together. I wonder if she practiced signing my last name in the mirror. Most homewreckers do. What made this moment even better was how at ease he looked. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't anxious. He was comfortable, finally unburdened from sneaking around, lying, and gaslighting, because the only thing better than revenge is letting a cheater think they're winning right up until you flip the board. I smiled, took a small sip of my wine, and said, "I'm glad you have a plan." He softened, relieved, like I had finally surrendered, but I don't surrender. Not without extracting a price. If you've ever let a cheater think they were winning, drop a sign fire in the comments. What Adam didn't know is that every sentence he spoke tonight was being recorded under the table. Not because I needed it for the legal case, I already had that locked down. No, I wanted the recording for myself. For closure. For that moment weeks later when I'd replay his arrogance and laugh. He thought he was negotiating the end. He didn't realize he was sitting in the middle of the climax, and the final act hadn't even begun. And the craziest part? He never suspected a thing. Not when I stopped crying. Not when I stopped asking questions. Not when I started letting him go out with friends without checking his location. Because nothing blinds a cheater more than the illusion of control. To understand how we got here, to this restaurant, to this smirk, to this grand illusion, I need to take you back. Back to the moment I first realized my husband was a stranger, and how I decided I would make him pay for every single lie. People love to talk about the moment everything changed in their marriage. For me, it wasn't a movie scene or a dramatic betrayal. It wasn't lipstick on a collar or a mystery number calling at midnight. No, it was subtle, quiet, almost boring. Which makes it more dangerous, honestly. Because the slow rot on the inside? That's the one that kills the foundation before you ever hear the crack. Adam and I didn't start getting messy. If anything, we started disgustingly perfect. We met at a friend's birthday barbecue, me with sauce on my shirt, him aggressively trying to juggle 3 beers at once. I laughed before I even fully knew why. It felt easy, natural. Like two people who had been circling the same city for years finally found the right street. We dated for 2 years, married in the fall, and settled into that cute domestic routine couples think makes them bulletproof. Sunday meal prep. Netflix fights about what to watch. Sex that was consistent, even if it wasn't wild. Friends joked we were annoyingly compatible. And I believed it. God, I really believed it. We didn't have kids by choice. He said we should live a little first, and I agreed. The freedom was nice. Traveling on random weekends. Expensive dinners were justified because we didn't have to pay for piano lessons or babysitters. Our finances were merged, our credit scores matched, and our future plans aligned scary well. I trusted him. And trust is funny because once someone earns it, you stop protecting it. The first crack wasn't even cheating related. It was work. His job in tech turned into long hours, late-night debugging sessions, last-minute deployments. He'd leave at 8 a.m., come back after 10 p.m., and collapse on the couch mumbling something about deadlines. I'd bring him dinner. He'd thank me absent-mindedly. Then came the gym phase, like someone flipped a switch. Out of nowhere, he decided he cared about wellness. Peloton rides. Workout playlists. Nutrient-dense smoothies. New cologne that smelled like cedar mixed with arrogance. Then the phone behavior started. You know the type. Screen tilted away. Notifications turned off. The phone flipped face down when he set it down. Bathroom trips doubled in time and frequency. Most women don't realize the bathroom becomes the first battlefield of infidelity. At first, I gaslit myself harder than he ever could have. He's stressed. He's tired. Maybe he's just into self-improvement. Because the truth is, when you love someone, your brain bends itself into origami trying to make their weird behavior look normal. But then came the first real red flag. I was paying the credit card bill one morning, just routine domestic nonsense, when I saw a charge at a hotel downtown. A boutique hotel. Not corporate. Not chain. And definitely not the type his company booked for conferences. I stared at the line for a full minute. $286.43 room and service. Friday night. We had dinner with his parents that Friday. Or, I thought we did. I didn't confront him. Not because I was scared, but because I wanted to hear the lie first. His lies would tell me how long he'd been practicing them. That night, I casually asked, "How was work today?" He barely blinked. Annoying. We're behind on a release. Had to stay late. Smooth. Controlled. Rehearsed. My stomach didn't drop. It boiled. Then came the message preview moment, the kind every woman knows is not an accident. Saturday morning, we were driving to grab groceries. His phone buzzed in the cup holder and flashed just enough for me to read 4 words. Same time next week? No name. No emoji. Just that silent familiarity that made my skin go cold. He didn't even notice. Or maybe he did and didn't care because he thought I wouldn't. I didn't say a thing. I just nodded, smiled, and asked if he wanted almond milk or regular. If you think I'm being passive, you don't know me yet. I wasn't letting it slide, I was letting it simmer, because cheaters don't get caught by confrontation. They get caught by confidence. But denial has stages. Phase 1, confusion. Maybe it was a coworker. Phase 2, logic. But why a hotel? Phase 3, dread. What else am I missing? Phase 4, acceptance. He's lying to me. And finally, Phase 5, resolve. I'm not confronting him yet. That's when things shifted internally. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't a heartbreak. It was a strategy. And strategy in marriage is louder than emotion. It's the part of your brain you don't realize you're capable of until someone tests you. The confirmation moment, the one that sealed everything, happened 2 weeks later, on a rainy Tuesday so boring it practically begged for drama. Adam left his iPad on the couch. He never left his iPad on the couch. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't hunting. I was literally about to move it so I could sit down. And then the universe, with its dark sense of humor, delivered a voicemail notification banner across the screen. I didn't press play. I didn't have to. The transcribed preview said enough. I miss your hands. Friday was perfect. Hands. Perfect. Friday. My heart didn't break. It hardened. I didn't confront him. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the iPad across the room like a dramatic Lifetime movie wife. I simply sat there and let the psychological gears click into place. If he thought I was going to lose control, he was mistaken. Losing control is how women lose court cases, settlements, and reputations. I wasn't going to lose anything, not even my composure. What was your first red flag in a relationship? Tell me in the comments. That night, while Adam showered, long shower, of course, I stood at the bathroom door listening to the water hit tile and decided something important. I wouldn't confront him at all. Not until it benefited me. I'd let him think he was smarter, sneakier, superior. I'd let him dig the hole and decorate the grave, because there's nothing more delicious than revenge that matures over time. That's when I made the decision that changed everything. I was going to trap him using his own arrogance. But first, I had to let him keep cheating and see just how far he'd go. Once you know someone is cheating, you have two options. Option A, confront them and watch them morph into a defensive politician. Option B, play dumb and let them incriminate themselves with their own arrogance. I chose option B. And oh, did it pay off? The first time I softly confronted Adam, I didn't accuse, just tested. We were folding laundry, domestic as hell, and I casually said, "Hey, why did a hotel charge show up on our card last month? Did your company stop using the Marriott?" His eyes didn't widen. He didn't stutter. He didn't quake. He smiled. The calm smile of a man who thinks he already outsmarted you. Oh, that, he chuckled. Work dinner ran late, and they booked us rooms because we were in the middle of builds. Honestly, babe, you worry too much. Then came the Gaslighting Greatest Hits collection. You're paranoid. You're overthinking. My boss even said I should take time off. Why would I cheat when I won Employee of the Quarter? That last one nearly made me laugh. Cheaters love using their accomplishments as character witnesses. I pretended to think it over. Then I apologized. Sorry, I guess I'm just stressed. He touched my arm. I get it. Don't worry about it. And just like that, he believed the threat had passed, but what he didn't realize was that I had already shifted from wife to strategist. The first thing I did was open a private email account. Not on my laptop. On the public library computer. People underestimate how much anonymity a building full of bored seniors and middle schoolers provides. I created a cloud folder titled something boring and unremarkable like tax forms and started uploading screenshots of everything suspicious. The voicemail transcriptions. The hotel invoices. The Uber receipts. Even the stupid gym check-ins. Then I called a lawyer. Not to file anything, just to learn. Knowledge is weaponry in divorce. And nothing terrifies a cheating spouse more than a partner who suddenly becomes educated on legal procedures. The lawyer didn't judge. He'd seen worse. He explained what counted as marital assets, how adultery impacted settlements in our state, and whether financial betrayal mattered in court. Turns out, it did. Very much so. Especially when you can prove marital funds were used to fund the affair. Guess who is funding luxury jewelry and hotel rooms with a joint credit card? Hint, not me. Meanwhile, Adam got comfortable. Too comfortable. The more I stopped questioning him, the more he relaxed. Suddenly, he wasn't working late, he was going for drinks after. He stopped guarding his phone so aggressively. He even left it charging in the kitchen once, which felt like an Olympic-level mistake for a cheater. His lies also got bolder. One night he said, "I'm grabbing dinner with my boss." Might be a late night. Boss posted an Instagram story that same night, home with his kids, carving pumpkins. Cheaters really need to start coordinating better, but the best part wasn't the lies, it was the overconfidence. He started floating the idea of traveling solo for work. Translation: vacation sex with the mistress. One afternoon, while he thought I was at yoga, the mistress showed up at my house. In broad daylight, holding a takeout bag and wearing leggings like she belonged there. She didn't ring the bell, she punched in a code. My front door code. When the door opened, she froze. Adam told me you'd be at Pilates. Pilates. That wasn't even the lie he told me. I stared at her, and for a split second, I felt something bizarre, pity. Not for her. For how stupid she must have been to show up at a married man's house like she was the main character. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't slap. I just smiled and said, the door code changed tomorrow. And then I closed the door. Did I mention playing dumb is an art form? When Adam got home later, he casually asked if I'd ever considered doing Pilates. I nearly burst out laughing. I said, not really my thing. His eyes flickered for half a second. He knew something was off. But cheaters are fragile, one tiny sign of danger, and they immediately start covering new lies with old ones. After that, I expanded my investigation. Not even because I needed more proof. At that point, I had enough to ruin him financially, socially, and legally, but because once you see betrayal clearly, you can't unsee it. You want to know every detail, every timeline overlap, every false work trip, every lie told to the family. I checked his car GPS history. I synced his smartwatch to my phone. I logged the dates, the receipts, the locations. And every time I added a new entry, I felt less like a victim and more like a chess player carving out the perfect checkmate. Have you ever pretended not to know just to see how far someone would go? Type yes if you have. The deeper I dug, the more reckless Adam became. He bought a new shirt, new cologne, started grooming his beard differently. He was evolving into a man who thought he was untouchable, immune to consequences. And that's when I realized something powerful. I didn't have to just leave him. I could level him, not with rage, not with tears, with preparation. The best revenge stories don't start with chaos. They start with quiet, with patience, with allowing the enemy enough slack to tie the noose themselves. The more careless he got, the more obvious the path became. I didn't have to catch him cheating. I had to make him regret ever thinking he could get away with it. And that meant building a trap, piece by piece, until he walked straight into it. The thing about revenge is, it doesn't happen in an explosion. It happens in the quiet planning that nobody sees. By the time Adam thought I had fully calmed down, I was already halfway through constructing the cage he'd eventually lock himself inside. And the enjoyment? Oh, that part surprised me. Because somewhere between betrayal and strategy, I stopped wanting answers and started wanting consequences. The first component of the trap was documentation. Cold, boring, undeniable documentation. Judges don't care about crying wives or poetic heartbreak. They care about evidence with timestamps. I built a timeline. Not in a secret notebook or a hidden drawer. In a shared Google Sheet, except I didn't share it with him. Every hotel charge, every Uber receipt, every gym visit mysteriously aligned with the mistress's social media stories. One night, she posted a boomerang with champagne. 2 hours later, Adam submitted a food expense on our joint card for the exact same bottle. Patterns are the enemy of liars. Patterns make their stories collapse. I added screenshots of messages, too. Not his, we weren't there yet. Hers. Mistresses are sloppy. They love posting cryptic quotes like they're starring in a Netflix drama. Things like, I deserve to be chosen. Life is too short for what-ifs. Stolen moments are still moments. I didn't need to decode, her captions decoded themselves. The second phase was financial positioning. If you've never researched divorce laws in your state while stress-eating pretzels at 2 a.m., I highly recommend it as a character-building exercise. I learned something crucial. Our state penalized adultery if the non-cheating spouse could prove marital funds were used to support the affair. Guess who had receipts showing exactly that? Guess who also called her bank to separate future paychecks into her own private account because a lawyer told her to? Guess whose lawyer explained asset division like it was a cooking recipe? Mine. Mine. And mine. The best part? Not once did I emotionally react in front of Adam. No tears. No shouting. No petty comments. He mistook neutrality for ignorance. And ignorance for defeat. Which made him bold. And bold cheaters are easy to break. The third pillar of revenge was people. Every chess game has hidden pieces. I didn't need an army, just a few well-chosen allies. My sister, for one. The moment I told her, she didn't ask if I was sure. She asked where the shovel was. That's the mark of a good sibling. Then there was our mutual friend Tyler, who worked at HR for a local firm. He wasn't loyal to Adam, he was loyal to justice. He explained that Adam's company had a strict policy against dating coworkers, especially if gifts, travel, or favoritism were involved. Guess who the mistress was? A coworker. Guess who he bought a bracelet for using our joint card? A coworker. Guess what HR departments love? Documentation. I haven't acted yet. Just filed that bullet for the future. Then came the moment I knew the trap was almost ready. Adam started floating divorce talk. But not directly, more like a beta test. You know, he said one night while slicing avocado, not every couple stays together forever. Sometimes people grow apart. I almost laughed. He thought he was the one making the call. The director of the movie. The keeper of the plot. True, I replied. But I'm not in a rush for anything. He smiled. Because cheaters want you eager. Nervous. Competing. What they do not expect is patience. Then came the pre-execution rehearsal, disguised as a conversation about finances. He casually mentioned that if we ever split, he'd probably keep the house, since he paid more toward the mortgage. What he didn't factor in was that marital property doesn't care about who paid more, it cares about whose name is on the deed. Spoiler, both of ours, but I nodded. Yeah, that makes sense. Let the man dream. Dreams make reality hit harder. Meanwhile, the affair ramped up. The hotel stays became overnight deployments. The drinks became client dinners. The gym obsession turned into 6-week program challenges. And he kept the mistress close. Too close. They started showing up at the same events, company dinners, friend hangouts. Not walking in together, not touching, but enough proximity for chemistry to hum. I watched. Took notes. Screenshot stories. Marked the dates. If this were a TV show, this would be the montage scene, me printing emails at Staples at 9 p.m., scanning credit card statements, whispering with my lawyer on the phone in the laundry room. Sister handing me iced coffee like we were in Ocean's 11, Marriage Edition. Then came the final component, the setup date. If you want a cheater to crumble, you don't confront them in private. You confront them in a setting where their ego can't save them. I needed a date that felt harmless. Predictable. Non-threatening. Something he'd willingly walk into with his chin high. He provided the perfect opportunity without even knowing it. Hey, he said one morning, standing in the doorway smelling like cologne layered over guilt, we should do a nice dinner next month. It's been a while. My treat. Dinner. Public. Loaded with symbolism. Easy to stage. I smiled. Sure. That'd be nice. What he didn't know was that by the time that dinner rolled around, I'd have everything lined up: financial evidence, timeline proof, HR leverage, mistress receipts, and one more surprise I hadn't yet put into play. Comment trap if you already know this isn't going to end with dessert. By the time the reservation confirmation came through, I had the final folder compiled, literal and digital. Labeled. Tidy. Chronological. Judges love chronological order. I even printed a second copy. Not for court. For the mistress. Adam walked around for weeks looking smug, like a man about to graduate from his own lies with a diploma in arrogance. Let him enjoy the fantasy. Because the fall is always sweeter when there's a climb. By the time that dinner finally arrived, I had everything I needed. Proof of the affair, proof of financial betrayal, and one more surprise that would make sure he never walked away clean. He had no idea the trap wasn't just set, it was already closed. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. That would have been too fast, too easy, too boring. I wanted them to feel cornered, not rescued by handcuffs. At this point, I had two active fronts, the legal trap, The prenup clause plus the assault plus the mistress's role equals a perfect storm of consequences. The financial chokehold, our house. The business accounts, the brokerage, and the properties were all under review, but I also had a third front I never mentioned to anyone: reputation. My husband's entire personality was built on status. And she? She wanted his money more than she wanted him. So if I attacked their reputation, it would trigger panic from both ends, and panic makes people sloppy. Sloppy makes people lose. Their affair wasn't a secret in our house, but it was still a secret everywhere else. His coworkers thought we were the strong couple. Her family thought she was dating someone single and successful. And the country club? Those rich people feed on scandal like piranhas. So I crafted a statement. Nothing dramatic. No accusations. Just photos and timestamps. Hotel check-ins, dinner bills, flight itineraries, a very damning screenshot of "come over before she gets back." I didn't even have to write commentary. His words did most of the work for me. I screenshotted, printed, watermarked, and packaged it like a PR firm preparing a scandal press kit. Then, I waited. This part still makes me laugh. My husband always bragged about being unhackable. But men who cheat never change passwords. They just recycle them and add an exclamation mark like it's a cybersecurity genius. I got into his Instagram, his Twitter, his LinkedIn, his business, WhatsApp, his email. He had drafts everywhere. And one email thread in particular nearly sent me into cardiac arrest, not because it hurt, but because it was pure leverage. He'd been transferring money to her, not gifts, not dinners, not flights, wire transfers. And here's the kicker, he labeled them as consulting fees. I almost clapped like I was watching a courtroom drama, because if the prenup demanded moral grounds for asset removal, financial fraud was like lighting a match and tossing it into a gas tank. We had a hearing scheduled, just a small one, to update the judge about my injuries and financial audit. He thought it was procedural. She thought it was meaningless. But the night before, I sent her a package. Same format as his consulting fees folder, but tailored for her. Inside, screenshots of wire transfers, dates, photos, video clips, receipts, and a single note. Did he tell you he used business funds to pay for the roses? That one line was a kill shot. Because business-funded personal expenses are fraud. Not cute, not romantic, not funny. Fraud is federal. Fraud gets accountants nervous. Fraud gets attorneys aggressive. Fraud gets the IRS interested. At 2:43 a.m., she called me. That was shocking enough. But her voice? Trembling. Afraid. Angry. Regretful. All layered like bad perfume. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. I laughed. Not mocking, genuinely amused. "Sweetheart, I'm not doing anything. I'm just setting the table. You're the one who decided to eat." She started crying. Not loud, just little gasps like someone drowning in an inch of water. I let her speak. "Cheaters reveal more when they panic. He said you were gone. He said your marriage was dead. He said I cut her off." Funny. Men lie to their wives for decades, but mistresses? You get the deluxe fantasy package. She tried to apologize. That part surprised me. Not because she meant it, but because she thought apologies have value in negotiations. They don't. I don't forgive people like that. I outmaneuver them. The next morning, they were both there. Side by side. Like some twisted Bonnie and Clyde cosplay for family court, but I wasn't there alone. I brought my lawyer, his accountant, and the forensic specialist who analyzed the transfers. When the judge opened the file and saw the photos of my bruises, she didn't look shocked. She looked angry. Judges hide emotions well, but outrage? Hard to bury. Then came the forensic report. Pages and pages of unauthorized transfers, business funds used for personal expenses, suspicious withdrawals, repetitive payments. To the mistress, his lawyer went pale. Hers didn't make eye contact. My favorite part was when the judge said, "This changes the nature of the petition entirely." You could feel the air shift. Even the clerks paused. Cheaters are always united when things are fun. The moment consequences enter the chat, loyalty evaporates. She turned to him, wide-eyed, and whispered, "You said I'd be protected." Protected. Like she was royalty instead of a side quest in his midlife meltdown. He hissed something back. I couldn't hear it, but she pulled her hand away, their first fight in public. Beautiful timing. All of this was still step one. I hadn't even filed the assault claim yet. I hadn't leaked anything to the country club. I hadn't even explored the business fraud angle fully. They thought court was the final battle, but to me, it was the opening ceremony. Because the real twist wasn't the court, or the bruises, or the wire transfers. The real twist was the video. The one neither of them knew I had. The one that turned their luxury fantasy into a criminal documentary. Play it, I told my lawyer, and when he did, everything changed. For days after the mediation, a strange quiet settled over my house. Not the sad kind. Not the lonely kind. The kind of quiet that tastes like oxygen after being underwater too long. There were no more fake business trips, no more late-night showers taken before bed, no more perfume scents that didn't belong to me lingering on his jackets. The chaos had stopped because the source of it was gone. My lawyer sent me the official documents a week later. I remember sitting in my kitchen, coffee in hand, scrolling through the final settlement. The house? Mine. The car? Mine. The savings and investments? The majority of mine. Alimony? Negotiated in a way that made Adam's jaw clench like stone. Apparently, the adultery clause hit his employer harder than expected. HR didn't like it, public relations liked it even less. He wasn't fired, but he was transitioned into a role that came with less visibility, less travel, and less money for his side hobbies. I'm sure that was devastating for a man who loved attention almost as much as he loved cheating. The mistress? She vanished faster than smoke. Their forever romance ended the moment she realized forever comes with bills, lawyers, and child support math spreadsheets. Last I heard, she moved across the state to live with her sister and disappeared from social media altogether. I would have felt bad for her if she didn't spend 4 months helping my husband plan a future built on my assets, but I didn't waste time thinking about either of them. When someone sets your house on fire, you don't stare at the ashes, you rebuild somewhere brighter. People think revenge feels like fireworks, loud, cinematic, explosive. But the real revenge? It's quiet. It's the absence of crying. It's waking up one morning and realizing you don't flinch at the memories anymore. Therapy helped. So did throwing out every sheet, towel, and pillowcase he ever touched. I repainted the master bedroom a shade lighter because I wanted it to feel like morning all the time. I donated his suits. I sold his favorite watch. Small victories stacked until I had my life back in my hands. My friends, God bless them, threw me a divorce shower. They wrapped candles and bath bombs and bottles of champagne in pink tissue paper. One of them bought a cake that said "Congrats on your upgrade" in big silver letters. We laughed until we were breathless. Some people don't get that freedom is a gift you unwrap slowly. Months later, I ran into one of Adam's old coworkers at a grocery store. He leaned on his cart and whispered conspiratorially, "Damn, he never saw that coming, did he?" I didn't have to ask what he meant. Adam always acted like cheating made him powerful. But in the real world, infidelity makes you look sloppy, unprofessional, and stupid, especially when you're dumb enough to mix your employer's money with your mistress's jewelry. Apparently, the entire office knew. Not because I told them, but because men like Adam never cheat quietly. They leave trails, they boast, they brag, they wink. And then they wonder why the world stops clapping for them. "He's quieter now," the coworker added, shrugging. "Sits by himself a lot." That stuck with me longer than I expected. Not because I pitied him, but because I knew it was the first time in his life he ever had to sit with himself without applause or distraction. And honestly, that felt like justice too. Revenge didn't fix everything. It didn't erase the years I spent making excuses for his ego, or the birthdays he missed, or the lies he told so easily I didn't recognize my own marriage anymore. But it did give me something he never expected me to have: dignity on my own terms. IT taught me that letting someone think they're winning is not weakness. Sometimes it's strategy. Sometimes it's survival. Sometimes it's the only way to get close enough to watch the tower collapse from the inside. One night, after all the paperwork was finalized, I sat at my dining table, the same one he used to slam his laptop on, and wrote in my journal. I let my cheating husband think he won, and then I let him drown in his own arrogance. I didn't need fireworks. I needed peace. And peace, it turns out, is louder than revenge. If you're listening to this and you felt that gut-level suspicion, the kind that makes you question your sanity and search for logic in the illogical, hear me clearly. You're not crazy. Cheaters don't just betray your trust, they betray your reality. They make you think you're the villain in a story they wrote. Don't let them. If you see red flags, don't paint them white. Don't romanticize chaos. Don't beg someone to treat you like a human being. If you have to beg, they don't deserve you in the first place. My trap wasn't about punishing him. It was about reclaiming the parts of myself I lost trying to love someone who only loved control. I let my cheating husband think he won, because sometimes the sweetest revenge is letting a liar write his own ending. If you're going through something similar, you're not alone. Drop your story in the comments, binge more real-life revenge stories on this channel, and subscribe so you never feel alone in this journey again. Broken heart, right arrow, flex biceps.